Hello, my name is Shan Turner-Carroll and welcome to my studio. I am a local artist to the Maitland-Hunter region and I'm going to talk a little bit about my Cubby Cave. The Cubby Cave is an artwork that I made with my dad and my cousin. It started in early 2014 and continued on for a few years. The Cubby Cave is situated on my family property in Lovedale. When the Cubby Cave started, I was initially interested in the idea of a lived practice and sort of seeing how much art could be a part of my everyday life. And in doing so, I invited my cousin to come and spend time together, reconnect, and build this cubby house, or Cubby Cave. And we actually built a cubby house when we were younger, and so revisiting this act of building a cubby house was there's a sense of nostalgia, and I wanted to reconnect with my cousin and my dad and my family, and so as a group we started building this cubby house. We used materials that were found on the property, from twigs and branches and glass and bricks and mud, rope, plastic, all kinds of found material. I had been sort of scouting for a spot where I wanted to build the cubby house, and my dad was chopping down some firewood one day, and he chopped down a dead tree, and it fell like in the opposite direction that where he planned for it to fall, and then as soon as it landed, I was like, this is kind of perfect. And so I was like, Dad, can I build the cubby house in here? And he said, yep. So it started in the canopy of this fallen tree, and it landed like in this a very grassy spot, and there was already this path that was going up to where it had landed, and the path had been made by animals, foxes and hares and kangaroos, and so I thought, okay, this is perfect. The Cubby Cave was the first sculptural sort of work that I had started, and that was a part of my master's research. So within my interest of reconnecting with family and the land, and trying to sort of see where art had meaning outside of a white cube, so to speak. This was all very playful, and within my reading and research, I had come across the idea of a rite of passage, and in some loose sense, I could see that this time that my cousin and I were having was in some form a kind of a rite of passage. And so I spent time going into this sort of these ideas and philosophies. And so a rite of passage, this term was coined by a man named Arnold van Gennep, and he proposed that they go through 3 phases, which is separation, transition, and then incorporation. And so I saw this structure that we were making as this first stage of a rite of passage, and this was the separation phase. So a space that was separate from the family home. It was a space to reconnect and a space to sort of explore, and this would become the first sort of structure that out of 3 structures that I would make that would be symbolic of the separation, transition, and incorporation. When I think about what this Cubby Cave is and its symbolism, and it is a sacred site. It is a place of transformation. It is very intimate and personal, and I feel like it's something that many can sort of see themselves in or can relate to in the kind of playful and childlike activities that you might have done when you were younger, and building little forts under your bed or tablecloths over the dining room table. And so I think I was wanting to sort of not only respond to the land that I had grown up on, but also responding to like my childhood and my history. And over the space of this year of building the Cubby Cave, I had friends and different family members hear about it and want to come and join in and help, and so I'd often have visitors come and stay for weekends, and we'd work on the Cubby House together. The production and the making of and the time spent making this Cubby Cave, it was a long time. It went over a year, and even a bit longer. And so this structure exists in a regional setting, but how do people access this? How do people have an idea of what this artwork is? And I like the idea of that it exists as a story, and that it's the audience can sort of contribute to this story with their imagination. And also I wanted it to exist as a photograph, and so there is a one photograph taken of the Cubby House, and I didn't want to have like huge amounts of detail of the work because I wanted it to just sort of live within this one image, and then also within the story that goes behind it. And I feel there's something quite powerful about that, and because, you know, I feel the concept of a Cubby Cave, the Cubby House is familiar to many people, I felt like I didn't need to over-explain it or over-show it, and yeah. I had people asking me what will happen to the Cubby Cave, and I said I'm not quite sure, but I think for me I wasn't interested in it lasting, because the important thing was the building of it and the time spent with family and friends, the land, and so that for me was this idea of community. And the Cubby Cave exists as a relic in the photograph, but over the years since when it was built, it's slowly sort of decomposed, so to speak, and it's gone back to the land. There's still elements of it around, but I wasn't interested in it existing forever. I think it's something beautiful that can come and then go, and maybe if I have children, maybe I'll do another Cubby Cave with them. But I think there's something special about it being transient. Site specificity has always been really important to me when thinking about making work, when producing things, and that can be land, that can be histories, that can be people, and so the land where the Cubby House was built, I've lived on there since I was 2, and so there's been this sort of thread that runs through my work where it has been responsive to this land, and the Cubby Cave is no exception. My family had built a mud brick house, using the earth from this land to make each brick, and it took about 7 years to build the house. And while we were building the house, we lived in a shed, and the shed is where we are now, and which is my studio. And so my memories of this land and my upbringing. This is all tied in and a huge influence within my work, and especially with the Cubby Cave. We used leftover bricks that we didn't actually use on the house to build walls in the Cubby house, and we used leftover LED lights that were from the house in the Cubby house as well. So piecing together memories from the past and techniques and materials all underpin what makes this Cubby house special, I feel, important to the location of this site. Thank you so much for listening to me about the Cubby Cave. It's always lovely to revisit it and talk about it and share, and yeah. Thank you.